I will be showing you something on the prod or paid account, or let's say on my hosted account. No, we will be in the same environment, just like you will be. So yeah, this is the overall UI as of now. Now, of course, with the major release, this can change, but I believe if you understand this in depth, it will not be a problem, right? Just like how 2003 version of Excel and this one will just have some issues in the placing of these buttons, maybe, but overall, the understanding will go a long way. So, we will be doing the same in depth. Now, this is your canvas, everyone, just like how you have a canvas for drawing, right? This is where all the magic will happen. Now, here you can see at the first step, so we will understand about that. The very first thing you can just zoom in and zoom out. So, either by your mouse wheel, by doing like basically moving your mouse wheel, or you can just do a on your trackpad if you're doing it on a laptop. You can easily just pinch in and pinch out to do the same. You can zoom in and zoom out using this buttons as well. You have a reset zoom here, right? So you can press 0 to reset and bring it to the like the default level. Now here you can just see zoom to fit as well. So you will see that how in all these things we are having this one present, right? So the good thing about N8N as a whole is that it also supports shortcut. So let's say if I'm just like playing around somewhere and I if I press 1 now, I will be at the very starting or to the center. Right? Similarly, if I zoom in or zoom out a lot, the second I press 0, it will be the default zoom. So 0 and 1 to go to the center of my overall canvas. Now, you can also do N8N shortcuts, like to go and learn about more of these shortcuts. They are basically in the documentation only, and they are a lot easy to understand and get hold of because they are very much similar to your other shortcut, like Control S to save, Control O to open a workflow, then to undo, then to redo. Right. So these are all the shortcuts, everyone. We can see that how we can zoom in or zoom out by using plus or minus. Zero to reset zoom level, everything, then control plus mouse wheel to zoom in and zoom out, right? So yeah, you can easily go through that. Now, before we jump on and create anything, what I would first like to show you is that how we have a open notes panel here, which has a tab as a shortcut. And this thing is very important, right? I will be making sure that all these which I create, I will be sharing them with you, right? So I will tell how we can see that. And the second you press this thing, you get a note, right? So it is just like sticky notes, right? So you can just create them inside your canvas for better understanding. Now I can just say for all the shortcuts, and I can just have this link, right? So just let me make it a little bit easier, everyone. Shortcuts, and let me just change it, right? So these are in Markdown. Now, for those who are not aware, again, since I'm covering this for everyone, Markdown is this. You can just go through this Markdown guide, right? It is having everything you need to know about this. Markdown is just like HTML, the way of basically defining and writing. So let me go back, and now you can see that how you can go double click to edit me, and we are having shortcuts here. And the second I go out, you can click on this shortcut now and you can just go onto that page. So this you can move around in your canvas, right? Uh, your N8N, right? It is based on something known as notes. So we will be going a lot deep into that as well, right? But should be fine for the time being. You can just drag and drop and play around normally. Again, I will be zooming it out a little. So let me zoom it out a little. And you can see that how we are able to drag it, right? Now, let's say if I make it like this, and if I press 1 now, I will be at the center. Okay. So this is what 1 will be very helpful. If you are, let's say, created many nodes, many workflows, it will be able to show you a good, nice view. Now, after that, everyone, let's see the same. We have understood everything here. We can easily edit the name as well. So my first workflow, and we can add tags. So let's say learning, or let's say learn N8N. Now you can of course search with these tags. You can manage these tags. That should be pretty helpful. Now we will see that how we can make it active, something which I will be doing afterwards should be fine. How we can share the same, right? So sharing again is just like how we can add someone, we can share them with anyone we want to do that. Now, one very, very important thing is that anytime we make any change, you will see that how we have to click this save, right? If you don't do this, if I close, then everything will be lost. Now, very much like how in Excel we do this, right? So online we have an auto save feature, but in your Excel, if you close that, then it asks you that, hey, do you want to save? So similar kind of thing will happen if I click here. It is asking save changes before leaving. So you can see that how the design language is very similar. And I hope that with this example of Excel, everyone is able to understand that. So yeah, we can save this and then we can leave. Shall be fine. And here you can see that how we have the my first workflow, when it was last updated, when it was created, and it has a tag as well. So let me now click this and I'm inside this. Now, if you do make some changes, so let's say shortcut link now and click outside, I can press Control S or Command S in Mac to save this. And you can see that how it is being saved. Then we have the history as well, right? Different history, what all changes you have made when you have saved them. So yeah, you can see that how it is shortcut link here, whereas here it is just shortcut, right? So let me close this. This will be helpful for maintaining and having an idea about complex workflows. But yes, all these things is required to be understood in the starting. Now you can click here and you can duplicate this, pretty straightforward to understand. You can download the same as a JSON, right? So JSON is something which I will explain you, but this is the way I will be sharing my workflows which I create throughout this course with you all, so that you can use them at your end. So much like we have an Excel file, if I go here and download it, you can see that okay, my first workflow.json user Mayank downloads. We can save it, we can save as, open or cancel it. Once you have this, then surely you can import from file as well, right? And I think yeah, this is the more than thing which you need to know about it. And that is how I will be sharing my workflows with you, right? Anything which I do in this course. So with this, everyone, I'm pretty sure that each and everything is clear. Just one last thing, we can have this AI assistant here. So ask assistant, which is in beta, as you can see here. So I can just ask it any basic question. Now let me just have it, maybe zoom it in. Okay, no, that will not be clear. Let me say hi, and it will just help you to like with the power of AI, much like ChatGPT. It will be just searching through the docs and telling you the answer to your queries, right? So hi Mayank, how can I help you with anything today? How let's say how to create a first node. Now I will tell you what node is, no worries, but it will just tell you that okay, what exactly going from the docs, it will be helping you in the same. Okay. And of course the N8N community, etc. as well. Let's see what it gives as an answer. So yeah, it's pretty taking time. Okay. To create your first node in N8N, you can follow the steps. In an empty workflow, click on the add first step. This will open the node panel. Search or browse through the available node. If you want your workflow to start automatically, choose a trigger node. So I think it's becoming a little complex. Let me make it a lot more easy for you. Let me close this. And this plus button is where you can click. So let me click plus. Now, again, there are many things. We don't have to get uh, any any problematic or like daunted by this. Let's just click this trigger manually, and don't worry. Let's just have this thing now. And again, I can move this node as well. I will be telling you different kind of node, but first let us create a very basic automation, right? Now, to show you this automation, what I will be doing, everyone, I will be using examples from Gmail, Google Sheets, etc. The reason is pretty simple. This is something which all of us use in our day-to-day, like day-to-day activities, etc. So we have access to that, right? That's the very first thing. Second, you will be able to really make real life use cases once you understand them in depth. So, very first thing which I'm going to do, I'm going to add an automation. I'm going to do Gmail, select this Gmail, and here I will just be doing send a message. So, this is what I have selected. Now it has opened this screen, and don't worry, I will be explaining you everything, right? How it flows and all. As you can see, if I go back to the canvas, this has connected. So I have two nodes. They are known as nodes, right? This is the trigger or input node. Okay. So if you remember, if I just show you again, this is kind of an input or trigger, right? So triggered event I have written because in N8N, they are known as trigger. We are creating workflows, right? So the flow is there from left to right, one step, then next step, then next step. This is how we are creating them. And you can see the same as well. First, we will have a trigger because it should start, right? Just like how in the morning, when we wake up, it's a trigger for our body that, hey, let's get started. So it's a flow from left to right. And one of the very good thing which I like about N8N design, if you click on this, here as well, you will see that how everything is from left to right. It is having an input, which is from the left. So we can execute the previous node and then we can have an output. Okay, so pretty simple thing. Don't worry on anything here, right? Now I can select a credential. So let me do create new credential. And here it is again. So to make sure that my N8N, this particular canvas, it can use my Google mail, that is Gmail, it's need to get validated. Now the same is very similar to how you just enter a password on your phone to enter it and use that, right? Here we have different ways of authenticating. So we can have a service account or we can have a OAuth 2. This OAuth 2 is the easiest and the recommended way. Here you just have to click on sign in with Google, something which we have done on many websites, right? So let me do that, sign in with Google. And as you can see, since I said that I will be doing everything with you, I am here. And yeah, this is how I'm going to sign in. So let me do AI with uh, Mayank. Let me select this. And here I'm just logging it into this. So I want to allow everything. Now there will be multiple things which it will ask. For the time being, you can allow each and everything. Just please make sure that you remember when you are learning this, either you can create a new account or you can use just some throwaway account. Like it's not a problem as such, but I don't want that you mess up your very first, your major or primary email account. So with respect to the same, everyone, I will just be giving it all the accesses and I will just continue. Okay, so you will see a little bit different here because I have given this accesses. Let me do continue. Okay, let it run. And how you can see the connection is successful. So it is going to be similar, this easy only for you. Let me close this. You can see that how the account has been connected. Now, if I go on Google and let's say if I go on Gmail, okay, let it run. You can see that how I have just kind of created. It is having a very, like, let me delete everything. So this is just kind of a email which I have created for everything AI and specifically all the tutorials which I will create. But for the time being, this is not my primary email. You can see that how the same is empty. Okay. Highly suggested to do the same so that you don't face any issues in your primary email address. Now, let me go and let us go to N8N, the very first workflow. Here the same has been connected. I can just close this. So it now has access to my email ID. I can say that, okay, you have to send an email, mayank@gmail.com. Again, just using the same email ID. It will be from me to me. Okay. Then subject can be hi from my first workflow. And it can be a simple text, not an HTML. And let me make it simple. Hey, hi from N8N. Now we can have multiple options as well. Again, not the overall. I will be showing that in the next section. So for the timing, I can just execute this step. And you see that how we have the input and the output has been kind of populated now. The good thing, if I go and refresh it now, I have this email coming to me. So this is your very first automation which you have created. If I go back, like the best way of running this was more of a text way of just a test way of just executing this step. If I close this, and if you remember, this was a manual trigger. So you see this, 1 second, yeah. We see this lightning kind of a sign. Let me show you this, yeah, for the trigger, right? So if I execute this workflow, let me execute this workflow from here. It will be flowing from left to right in this arrow ways. Let me execute. And you will see that how it is showing workflow executed successfully. What does that mean? I will be getting another email, right? So yes, it is genuinely working, and we can see that hi, hey, hi from N8N. And now the reason that it is a automation and not anything AI or agent is that this is not having any AI use case as of now, right? So yeah, with that, I am pretty sure that till now, from complete scratch, you have understood a lots of things. And let me go back and how we have understood the sign up process, like no money, no credit card required. UI walkthrough, I have made sure to explain you each and everything, each and every button, because that is very, very important. N8N workflow, the overall canvas, which is known as workflow, how we can rename it, etc. And we have created the first automation. Okay. So just one small quick thing. You can just click on this space and you can rename this. So let's say my manual trigger, and you can just click on this and let's say send a test email. So yeah, you will see that how this is kind of getting renamed based on this use case. Okay. Of course, you can see the same in startup, like in the shortcut as well. But I thought to explain you. So with this, everyone, now we have kind of have the very basic and the pretty base clear. Now I guess we can start painting. So we understood about the canvas, we understood about the different colors, etc. We have what are the settings, etc. Everything clear. We in Microsoft terminology, we understood that how we can enter something here. Now, as we will move forward, we will see and learn in depth about all these as well. So these four very important foundation steps are done for N8N, right? Now, in the next module, we will be focusing on nodes in N8N. So the nodes which I showed you, which we have first created, now we will be going a lot in depth about these so that each and everything is a lot clear to you. So now let us start with the next module, everyone. I think it should be module 3. I have missed that out. Yeah. So in this, we will now be taking things up a notch and we will be focusing on nodes, right? And along with that, creating automations with that. So first, let us see a little bit about nodes. What exactly are nodes? So node is a single building block in N8N workflow. So as we have seen here that how we can have or we can create a new node by clicking on this thing, which triggers this panel on the right where we can have the node selected. So let me now go back and we can go back here. Each performing a specific job like triggering an event or processing data or some action as well. So majorly you will see that how we have nodes like these where we have a trigger, like this should ideally be a lightning bolt. Then we can have an action AI agent, code or utility. So this will not make it a lot more clear. Now for that, what I have done is I have went an extra mile and made sure that I have created a workflow. So let me open that. Yeah. So I've created a workflow, everyone, which you can see right in front of your screen, where I have tried to group all the nodes so that it is very easy for you all to understand. Now let me just try to do one thing. Let me also showcase that how you can download and import this file, because that is what you will be doing to get all the workflows which I shared with you. So you can go here and in this we can click download. So once you click this download, it is saving this JSON file. So let me do a quick save and you see that how the same has been downloaded, right? So it's a small file in terms of overall configuration, etc. Now to open the same, now this is a separate window. I have a separate N8N instance open here with some saved workflows. But when you will be opening a new overall workflow, something like this, what you can now do is you can just import from file, right? And I can just select this recent one which I have downloaded. And you see that how the full workflow which I have created, you are able to easily, or rather you would be easily able to download. Now let's see the nodes in a little depth, everyone, because they are the building blocks, just like we have Legos in real life. So they will be the one which runs in sequence and finally help us in our automation or our agentic flows. So let's see them one by one. When you press tab or when you click this plus button, that is where we see all these different categories. So AI, action in an app, data transformation, flow, core. Like let me zoom it in to make it a little bit easier to read. So as you can see, AI, action in an app, data transformation, flow, core, human in the loop, and how we can have another trigger. So these are all, or some of them are what I have extracted out and I have showcased here. So if you see this trigger node, everyone, as the name suggests, trigger node are going to be the one which triggers your whole workflow. Now the workflow is going to be from left to right, and it's majorly being a lot logical in nature, the way we define our automation or let's say an agentic flow. So here we can have different kinds of trigger, right? In the last sample automation which we created, we were having a manual trigger, which can get triggered manually. That is when we want the same to get triggered, where we used to press this execute workflow. Now, of course, there is nothing here, so nothing will happen. But we can have trigger which is based on different conditions or different kinds of trigger. As you can see, few of them which I have tried to include here are form trigger. So what N8N provides you is, so let me just zoom it out a little bit and show you. So we can have a form trigger here, everyone. Now if I double click on this, and let's say if I open this or copy this path, now we will be seeing this separately as well. And if I click this on a new tab, then we can have a form basically created, right? So let's say I go back and I just have a form title, let's say test form, and I can have some elements, right? So let's say first name, and we can have element type as text. Yeah, all that seems fine. Now, if I go back and refresh it, okay, I think I will have to save the same as well. So pay attention, everyone. I'm doing a Command S or Control S, and like we get on the top bottom right, we get workflow changes saved. Now, if I refresh it, okay, let me just copy the link again, maybe because I think uh, this has to be just quickly worked upon. Enter the name. We can have this copied. Let me paste it. If the form trigger isn't listening, that seems fine. So just let me quickly check. What are we missing here? Mm, this production URL is not the one which is required. Okay, this is having some problem. Maybe I can execute this so that it is listening. Now, if I refresh it, yeah. So maybe I think I have to just start this form. This is a test version of your form, test form, and it is having the first name, right? And I can submit the same. Now we will be seeing this in a lot of depth, but you can just easily think that how this is just your how Google form is, right? So we can also create a form which is N8N native, and let's say as soon as you enter your name or any other details which you want, this is this can trigger your workflow. So this is just one of the example. I'm going to stop listening for the time being. Let's go back to the canvas. Similarly, we can have multiple different kinds of trigger. We can have a trigger based on Telegram, which is a messaging application just like WhatsApp. We can have a schedule trigger. Now, as the name suggests, this trigger is going to run on a schedule. So if I just double click and just show you, we can have the intervals, seconds, hours, all these things. We can even have the custom cron based trigger as well. So yeah, that is something which we can use. In a similar manner, everyone, we can have a webhook trigger, something which we are going to see as well. We can have a Gmail trigger as well, right? So let's say when the mail comes onto your inbox, then your full workflow can trigger. So in that way, you can actually automate your full workflow. So all these examples I'm showing you so that you are having a deeper understanding of what exactly a trigger is and how it can it can depend on some real world applications as well, much like how we can receive a message, how we can receive an email. In a similar manner, in a very similar manner, we can have a chat trigger as well. So if I just double click this, close this, yeah, so we can have this chat, everyone. Now this is by default present in N8N, where I can message, let's say something, and your whole flow is going to get run. Much like how we can have it in a chatbot. So we can test out the same as well. Now, let me just retract it. Yeah. In a similar way, we can have a workflow trigger. So this can actually trigger a separate workflow, right? So you are having this workflow created here. We can have a separate workflow which can get triggered, right? Now, Airtable trigger as well. So Airtable is another application. The whole idea which I wanted to show you here is that how we can have different trigger based on real world applications. And now if I go on add another trigger, you can see all the categories here, right? So we can have trigger manually, on app event, on a schedule, on a webhook call. So all these things we are going to see on form submission when executed by another workflow. So these are the one everyone which we can use as trigger. or the starting point of our workflow, right? After that, next we have the action node, something which is going to, as the name suggests, perform some action. Now, the good thing with N8N is the integrations, which makes it a lot more possible and easy to connect it to real world applications and do some action. In the previous automation which we did, we were having send a message as an action, right? So I think it's pretty simple, just like how we humans have a trigger point. Let's say we wake up, then we brush our teeth. That is an action. In a similar manner, in a digital world, actions can be anything, be it sending an email on Gmail. Now, if you have Notion, if you are aware about Notion, which is an application, which is an awesome node based application, we can have some thing to be done on Notion. And then we can have Google Sheets as well. So we can easily connect to a Google Sheet and perform some action on that, right? So it can be deleting a record, appending a record, or maybe we pick up a record and then do something on that. So this is where the action comes into picture, everyone. Now here as well, we can have multiple different let's say apps. We can see that how it is action in an app where we can do something in an app or service like Google Sheets, Telegram, or Notion. So I have just picked up the most common one, but the idea is pretty simple. And the good and the best part is that how we have so many of these applications, like from basic applications which we use to AWS, right? So the good part, you can easily connect to it, right? You don't need to write any code, which makes N8N and creating these automations a lot easy for anyone, right? So just simple drag and drop. Here we can see AWS S3, Azure Storage. So AWS is there, Azure is there, Brave Search, then cal.com, Calendly. Now, all this just kind of shows that how you can genuinely create a proper end-to-end application with all these applications present right out of the box. And if you scroll down, you will see many of these which we use. So we have Dropbox, we have Elasticsearch, 11 Labs, then of course we have Git, GitHub, GitLab, Google related, Google Cloud related services, right? So the integrations are genuinely the best thing here. Google Docs, Google Drive, Google Sheets, all these integrations are pretty nicely present and just ready to use. So we can have even Jira, etc. as well. We can have Kafka, Jira software. So all these I'm showing you so that you understand that how N8N can be used to create workflows which are not just helpful to us in our personal, let's say, day-to-day life. For example, with Google Sheets, Gmail, but rather it is having all the professional applications as well in terms of cloud services like AWS, Google Cloud, and Azure, as well as Jira, GitHub, all these things, right? So possibilities are genuinely endless here. Now we have multiple other overall things as well. We have LinkedIn, as you can see, and Microsoft Azure, Microsoft SQL, Microsoft To Do. All these things are present here, starting from the very basic of the application. So yeah, the integrations are genuinely kind of endless. We can see that how many integration is there to the end, and YouTube is also present. So all the facets of life from personal to professional are very nicely covered, and we can surely use that. So this is where the action node comes into picture, everyone. So we can perform an action. Now, after that, if you see, we have the data transformation or majorly the utility node. Let me show you that as well. So as the name suggests, here we will be working on, let's say, any data which we are getting. We can, of course, filter the data out. We can work on the same. So you will be seeing that how these these nodes, they are also like the steps in our automation or in our work, right? We first trigger something, then we, let's say, connect to an application, right? Or we open an application, and then maybe, for example, we can filter out our emails, okay, based on who have sent them, right? In a similar way, we can have some if condition that, okay, I have to first reply to my work emails. So maybe, let's say, if I'm connecting to Google or Gmail, I'm getting all my emails and I'm first connecting to the work emails. So that is the idea. Here we can again have date and type, switch, set fields. We can have different things, which I will be showing you in action. And then, yeah, pretty sure it will make a lot more sense. Just to show you again, we can have different types of these transformation node as well. We can have these filter, limit, remove duplicates, split out, right? Aggregate, merge, and then compression, crypto, extract from file. All these are present. We can rename keys, etc. as well. So yeah, these are the one which are present. After that, we have the code nodes, everyone. So if I show you here, then we have the core one here, where running code, HTTP request, or webhook comes into picture. And we can have execute sub workflow, FTP, any N8N related form or let's say operation. And we can have a no operation, do nothing kind of a thing as well. So just to explain you a little bit more here, N8N also support your custom code. So you can just provide the code. Let's say if I just double click this. Here, if you see, we can provide the code in let's say JavaScript, and Python is also supported. Let me just check that where exactly it is. Ask AI. So you can genuinely just directly use AI. Now that doesn't mean that it is now a code tutorial. Well, for basic operation, you can genuinely just write your simple thing in English, and the code it is going to generate for you, right? So these are very nicely present, everyone. Now let's go back. We can go on settings, I guess. And yeah, like these are the few things which we will see a little bit more in depth. So JavaScript is basically supported. I think Python is still in beta. I was able to check that Python was also present. Maybe I will show you that in the practical as well. Let me close them for the time being. Next, we have the overall. Okay, it is not action node. My bad. These are your basically AI nodes, right? So let me show you these as well, everyone. Here we have AI agents, something which I know that all of you will be looking forward to, and we will gradually be using this once we master automation. Then some basic LLM chain, how we can connect to your OpenAI or let's say any other LLM as well. Question answer chain, text classifier, sentiment analysis. So few of the very common use cases, they are directly present and provided as a block. Now, if I show you here as well, let's say once I click this tab, then in the AI, we can have some templates. So these are again some templates which we can extract from here, which I showed you earlier. Along with that, we can have a AI agent. We can have a direct open AI as well, right? So we can just connect to Chat GPT via our key. And let's say we can message it, we can message an assistant, we can delete or create an assistant, all these things. Then we have the basic LLM chain and few of the use cases out of the box. So we have the information extractor, question and answer chain, sentiment analysis, summarization chain, text classifier. All these things are present, which we can use out of the box. And of course, we have other AI nodes as well. So now they have been very nicely divided, everyone, which I believe will make a lot of sense provided you have in depth knowledge about AI. Good thing again, no coding is required. Just by dragging and dropping, you can use these things. So, starting from complex things like document loaders, language models, memory, output parsers, retriever, all these things are present for us to use, right? Embeddings, vector stores. So, yeah, that is going to be a lot more powerful. And this is why I believe that N8N as a tool is something which everyone can use, and it covers wide array of use cases. So all these basically are the nodes, everyone. Now again, we can have this flow as well, where like there will be some overlap, as you can see here. So I think we have covered majorly all these offerings: AI, action in an app, data transformation, flow, core, human in the loop, as the name suggests. So this is a concept in which we can have a human input inside any automation or any loop, which with AI which is running. So yeah, we can have that as well. For example, we can have Slack. We can send something and let's say wait for the Slack approval or the Gmail approval. So this is what human in the loop means. And we can have multiple triggers as well. So add another trigger is something which is coming here. So with that, everyone, pretty sure that you are clear on what nodes are. So these are the building blocks which we will be connecting to one another to make our automations or AI agents flow, right? So they are very important to understand, and of course there are so many of these nodes which you can use in your application. And the idea is going to be pretty simple. We have to keep our overall flow or overall N8N workflow a lot easy to understand by making sure that we can use the nodes which are required. Now, one thing to mention here, we have this HTTP request one as well, which makes it possible to connect to our own apps as well, right? So you must be aware that how we do use HTTP request. And if you are not aware, let's say if you're in college or even in school, don't worry, I will be covering that as well from complete scratch. But the idea which I wanted to clear here for maybe a little professional audience is that how your personal applications, right, with the help of HTTP request, can be integrated inside an N8N workflow. This is something which I am also using in my overall use case for my startup as well as for consulting, which I do. This is where we have the client application basically triggered or plugged in into our workflow. Okay. So with that, I'm pretty sure that this thing is clear. Now let us go back, and pretty sure that now the nodes and everything is clear. Now, with the understanding and everything intact, we will be creating some practical automations which are going to make our concept a lot clear. And via that only, I will show you the overall internal working of our nodes, how we can configure information, how we can set them dynamically, how we can have different options which we can set or configure. Okay. So now let's start with the practical of our automation, everyone. And so I've collected this module number as well to avoid any future basically confusion. Now, via these automation practical, we will be integrating our real world applications, and you will be getting a lots of idea that how can we work on these, and yeah, unlocking the true power of our N8. So in this next module now, we will be starting with the automation practicals. So now let us move forward and master automation, everyone. Now I will be making sure again that everything is covered where you are able to understand each and every building block, the input, the output, overall flow, as the same shall be very much helpful in building these automation from scratch, just like we will do. And once you do that, then you will be even able to use the pre-built templates, or let's say automation which anyone else provide, and tailor it based on your use case. Now, I have seen many tutorials and the same is not covered in this much depth. So I made sure that it is very much comprehensive in nature. And I will also be in future making sure that I do many projects where we will be building the same from scratch. So this understanding is going to be a lot helpful. So it might seem a little bit easier in the starting, but it is going to quickly pace up to a little complex use case. So I want that each and every one of you now are focusing and creating notes and understanding where exactly we are making the changes. If you face any error or any issues, please make sure that you mention the timestamp and ask your doubts. And I will be more than happy to clear the same, because now we are genuinely going inside and building inside our canvas. So, with that, now let's see the very first automation, everyone.